So I got an actual equipment manager working, and what I'll do right now is I will show you guys that as well as the networking. And I got a little bit of music as well. So we'll go ahead and host a game. Okay, at least I got some here. I can build. Ignore the tiles right now. I haven't really finished the art on everything, so tiles are not quite up to par yet. But as you can see, I can add tiles in. And we'll put this off to the side. We'll go ahead and launch this. And we'll go ahead and join the client. And you'll see that I have access to that as well. So if I do any changes, you'll notice they take effect. And if I quit, make more changes, and whatnot, and I come back to join, you'll notice I have all the changes. So networking works pretty well. The way I have it doing is any changes that are done are a remote procedure called to the server that tell all the clients to perform the same change. And for every change that's done, it's added to a sync list. And anytime a player joins, the first thing they do is they download that sync list, and that sync list will go through all the current changes and modify their map to be equal to exactly like everyone else's, which is pretty interesting. But that's obviously not the reason what I'm showing off right now. So I now have an equipment manager. Um, I can actually equip helmets and weapons, and of course I can put them back in my inventory. Right now I have it set to where only a helm can go in a helm slot, so if I try to put a helm in a shoulder slot, it won't work. Same thing if I were to put a helm in a weapon slot. Helms can only go into the helm slot, and vice versa. And I can sit there and swap it around, or I can put it back in my inventory. And I do have a bug here and there where periodically it'll allow overlapping when it's supposed to just swap. But nonetheless, the code is there to equip items. The next thing I have to do is, I don't know if I want to list on this side or if I want to put it on this side, but a list to be able to allow me to get the cumulative effects of each item. So that way you have your base stats and then you have your modified stats. So if you have, like, say 100 base strength and this adds 10 more strength, and then another item adds another 10 more strength, that'd be 120 total strength with a base one 100. And of course, obviously I need to do my tooltips better because I don't like the way they look. They're too, I don't know, it's hard to explain it. They seem like they just too see-through, too opaque. Some of them are actually hard to read like that. Either I need to change the font color or something, but I'm just not liking the way the tooltips are looking at the moment. Mind you, this is all going to be just standard assets that I've been using, so more than likely eventually I'll draw my own, which does work. And you'll also notice that I have some pretty interesting lighting. And we'll move that off the screen so you can see the screen. And yes, it does do double shadow cascading. Now, I do have one small bug where if I touch a player, it does cause them to move even though they're not moving on the screen. So if I were to move back over here, it would reposition them. But you can tell they're still slightly moving. But yeah. This is simply because, more than likely, since I'm still using rigid bodies, they are not syncing their data across correctly. They only sync the data when the data actually happens. So I may need to put an update in there to force stuff to not actually occur. Now it looks a little laggy because I'm swapping between screens and I'm actually having two games playing. Well, you'll notice that even on this game, I'm solid, pretty much 80 frames a second. And this is with VSync turned on. So if I go to the project settings and go to quality, and right now I'm on perfect, or whichever is the highest one. If I go to don't sync, I'm still pushing 400 something frames a second. So there's no lag. Now I still have a few tiles that are obviously not correctly linked. And then I have issues where if it's within a chunk of another chunk, that chunk doesn't get updated. So what I'm aiming to happen is make my chunks slightly smaller and update all the chunks around that chunk. Because updating one chunk is already proven to not cause any issues. There's no lag whatsoever updating a chunk. And I believe I can update a 5x5 row of chunks without any issues. But to keep within efficiency, I think the idea is maybe a 3x3 of smaller chunks. And as you can see, I can remove stuff. All the lights work pretty nice and pretty cool. And then I can equip gear. And of course, I can pull this one open, and every player has their own inventory, their own database, and everything that they need to worry about themselves. So that way, I don't have to worry about syncing this. Now, the only thing I will be syncing is dropping an item into their actual inventory. So if a player picks up an item, they'll make a call to the server saying, "Hey, can you verify if I'm picking up this item?" The server will go, "Yes," now go ahead and spawn that item in your inventory. And then once it's in their inventory, it's responsible for them to keep track of it. But the way it's going to work is if they ever destroy an item, it's still going to make a server procedure call saying, "Hey, I'm destroying this item." So the server says, "Okay, you've destroyed the item." So that way the server is well aware of everyone doing what they're doing. And that way cheating shouldn't occur, but who knows, may still be possible. I'm not exactly confident in my ability to write code to keep people from cheating, so trying. Nonetheless, made a pretty amount of good progress.